Assalamu alaikum, peace be upon you. The Israeli government and its Western government's allies and the Western media keep arguing that what happened on October 7th is the main cause for the bloodshed and the atrocities we see in Gaza today. And Israel is just defending itself. Israel has a right to defend itself. So it's all about self-defense. Let's keep defense in mind because we're going to get back to it later. The strongest reply to that came from the UN Secretary General on October 24th when he said, "It's important to also recognize the attacks by Hamas did not happen in vacuum. The Palestinian people have been subjected to 56 years of suffocating occupation. They have seen their land steadily devoured by settlements and plagued by violence, their economies stifled, their people displaced, and their homes demolished. Their hopes for a political solution for their plight have been vanishing." And he also said on November 6th that Gaza is becoming a graveyard for children. So according to the UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres, what happened on October 7th was fueled by a long history of oppression. So what is this history? After speaking to many of my Canadian friends from all backgrounds and speaking to many Canadian politicians about the Palestinian issue, I realized that many people are either completely ignorant about the historical facts about the Palestinian issue or misinformed by falsified history that was definitely written by the victorious, who is still trying to ride the present by spreading more lies, hoping to maintain people's sympathy and justify its atrocities. Evidently, when we see some brilliant and supposedly highly intellectual individuals that either have astonishing abilities to fabricate lies like Ben Shapiro, aka Israel's cheerleader, or some like Jordan Peterson and Piers Morgan, who seem to avoid historical facts and echo the proven lies spread by the Israeli government by focusing on the suffering of one side and completely dismissing what's happening on the other side that was clearly labeled by experts and world leaders as genocide, war crimes, and brutality. But not just experts and world leaders, we all see the masses in the entire world standing up in rejection of such brutalities and such genocide. So let me share with you some important historical facts that will help us understand the vacuum that the UN Secretary General referred to. After almost 40 years of diplomacy in an attempt to fulfill the Zionist dream of establishing a national home for the Jewish people in Palestine, the extremist Jewish Zionist terrorist groups decided to terrorize the British, their sponsors, and their biggest supporters, and to terrorize the Palestinians, the indigenous people of the land, who were the obstacle to creating the Jewish state in Palestine. Why? Because the British did not agree to the Zionist extreme views and violent approach sought to achieve their dream, which was simply to occupy the entire British mandate of Palestine and fully eradicate the Palestinian people, in accordance with their announced religious teachings as clearly stated in the Torah, in the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 20, verses 16 and 17. And I quote, "When you capture cities in the land that the Lord your God is giving you, kill everyone, completely destroy all people." Unquote. The sad part is they finally succeeded to establish their dream in their own brutal way, the Jewish homeland in Palestine, in a pool of blood and over the rubbles of Palestinian homes. Now, before anybody accuses me of being anti-Semitic, you need to know that this is not my judgment. It is the US Department of Justice. Yes, you heard it correctly. The US Department of Justice published a 129-page report in 1977 titled Jewish Zionist Terrorism and the Establishment of Israel. And the abstract reads the following. Traced chronologically, the formation of the Haganah, the Ergon Awawi Leumi, and the Lohemi Herut. These are terrorist groups, Israeli Jewish terrorist groups. Their military and paramilitary groups, their organization, leadership, philosophy, and actions are shown to be inseparable in their operations and their strong Zionist aims. These three groups attacked the British administration and their white paper policy, the Arabs, Hitler, and fought in their own civil war. In examining aspects of their role in the ultimate creation of a Jewish state, it is concluded that, number one, Jewish terrorism against British and Arabs did contribute heavily to the removal of the British from Palestine, the abandonment of the League of Nations mandate, and the creation of a Jewish state of Israel. Number two, there were no practically affordable alternative to yielding the mandate available to the government of Great Britain because of the cohesiveness of the terrorists and their sophistication. And number three, there is no true conclusion as to whether or not these dissident groups posed a threat to the state of Israel as perceived by the ruler at that time, David Ben-Gurion. However, much they have posed a threat to the personal power of Ben-Gurion. It is concluded that they played significant part in the creation of the Jewish state. Not me. Go back to the U.S. Department of Justice and ask them, how did they come up with this report? Now you understand what the UN Secretary General meant by the vacuum, the historical facts that led to October 7th, especially when you know that the IDF, the Israeli Defense Force, remember defense? Those terrorist groups, they claimed that they were defending settlers, and these are the ones that committed the atrocities on the Palestinian people in 1947. And now the Israeli Defense Force, who's claiming to defend Israel, was formed by these terrorist groups, is doing the exact same thing. But now we know that aggression and terrorism is their way to get what they want the way they want it. They did this in 1948, and now they're doing it in 2023. After 75 years of failing to fully actualize their dream, or as it was called by some, after running a failed colonization project. And I end with a big thank you for Mr. Netanyahu for waking up the entire world and reminding us of the bloody history after we almost forgot all about it.